There are more. So this is intense when we look what is going on and what is in the forecast for the US. And I have to say, I mean, after Enid, Oklahoma, you might have seen my video. That was an EF4 tornado. Some say even EF5. We have severe weather warning across the United States. So we can say the US is being hit by something much bigger than just one tornado. And it's not only local. This is not about only just Enid or Oklahoma. This is not about one town, one storm, or one area of damage. So right now, the United States is dealing with a full, we have to say, multi-hazard weather outbreak. Hi, everyone. I hope you're not in the affected areas. If you are, let us know what's going on there, and please be prepared and stay safe, because what is expected, we're talking about tornadoes, giant hail, damaging winds, storms, flash flooding, spring snow, yes, and even fire weather. So we have wildfires burning at the same time. So all unfolding, and that's the interesting thing, inside the same huge national weather pattern that is happening right now. And the scary part is this. Some of the most dangerous weather is not over yet. We thought maybe it's over after the EF4 tornado, which was massive. So Storm Prediction Center has issued a level 4 out of 5 severe weather risk for North Texas. And the official wording is very clear. Multiple rounds of severe thunderstorms are expected from the southern plains into the lower Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley, and parts of the southeast. And I have to make it clear, guys, these storms are just not regular thunderstorms. They're not. The official forecast warns of very large, giant hail, 2 to 4 inches or even larger. We're talking like tennis ball size here, or baseball size. That means, again, hailstorms the size of golf balls, baseballs, and in the worst storms, in addition to these bad storms. So this is large enough to smash car windows, destroy roofs, damage crops, injure animals, and yourself if you're outside when that happens. So everyone that's caught outside and you see the hail start, get to shelter immediately. And the problem is we're already seeing that happen. Look at the reports that are coming from Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. Hail has already been reported across multiple states, with some reports around 2 inches, 3 inches, and even 4 inches. So what we're seeing there, that's not normal little hail bouncing off the sidewalk. Yeah, I think it's clear. I show you images of what happened a while ago here. So that is destructive ice falling out of supercells. This is what it is. Chunks of ice. It's like a weapon, right? And when people see the tornado footage that we already have, that is usually what gets all the attention, right? But in many of these outbreaks, hail and like straight line winds cause damage over a much wider area, and not to mention the lightning storms, the thunderstorms that are equally as frightening. So a tornado destroys usually a narrow path. We know the EF4 tornado in Enid, it was 9 miles long, 14 to 15 kilometers, and it was almost half a mile, half a kilometer wide. And the touchdown time was 30 minutes. So it had a lot of area that it could disrupt. But Hail, also, it's not localized. It can hit entire neighborhoods. Wind can knock down trees, power poles across counties, right? Not just one little village. Flooding is also equally as bad. It can trap people in their cars, trap people in their homes. And if we have snow in the mountains at this time of the year, can shut down roads, while the central and southern U.S. are dealing with the severe storms. So that's why the current weather system, we have to say, is so dangerous. And it's not one type of hazard. And I have to say, it's kind of weird things happening in Canada as well. Like Calgary has a snowstorm. I mean, we almost have May, -6 degrees Celsius. So what we're dealing with here is basically not one type of hazard. It's many of the bad hazards happening at the same time. So last Monday, outbreak produced tornado reports in Illinois, Indiana, Arkansas. In Indiana, the National Weather Service has confirmed an EF1 tornado near Mooresville with peaks around 105 miles per hour. That's about 169 kilometers per hour. Then we had another EF0 tornado that was reported nearby, and those are damaging enough, I have to tell you. Trees were damaged, power lines came down, and several communities across the Midwest were hit by storms and hail. Illinois, Missouri, we know that storms triggered tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, reports of hail and damaging winds, and some areas received several inches of rain in a very short amount of time, which makes the flooding so much worse, right? West Central Illinois firefighters had to rescue people from a vehicle stranded in floodwater, and that is one of the most important points that I want to make in this video. It does not take a huge tornado to create a life-threatening situation. This is what we all should be aware of. If we have a road covered by floodwater, that can become very, very dangerous in seconds if the water is coming. Tree can come down onto a home or a vehicle and onto you. Power line can fall, very, very dangerous. A semi-truck can be blown over. Roof can be destroyed by hail. So this outbreak is so dangerous because the threats are layered, so many of them. And now today, the focus has shifted to the south and the west again. And by the way, we have wildfires burning in Georgia, for example, also in Florida at the same time. So the highest severe weather risk that is reported right now is centered over northern Texas, including the broader region around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But we have to make clear that the threat zone stretches much farther. We have the possibility of severe storms possible from Oklahoma to the ArkLaTex region. That's Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and parts of the southeast. So Storm Prediction Center says the atmosphere over parts of the southern plains is extremely unstable right now. So that means we have warm, humid air near the ground that is basically being loaded underneath stronger winds higher up in the atmosphere. So that is fuel, that's the spin, that is the setup that allows thunderstorms to rotate, to intensify, and then eventually become these supercells. And supercells are the storms that can produce the biggest hail, the strongest wind bursts, and sometimes these dangerous tornadoes. But here's the important part. This does not mean every person in the risk area will see a tornado. So guys, no, it means the ingredients are there for dangerous storms to develop. And if one of these storms gets organized in a certain way, it can become severe very quickly. And that's why these outbreaks are so difficult, right? One town may get nothing, but the other town may be devastated, right? Another town even just 20 miles away can get hammered by hail, wind, or tornado. And sometimes the first sign that people see is not the tornado on the ground, it's that dangerous looking black sky, the roaring wind, hail suddenly hitting the roof, and then the power goes out. If you're even able to see it, because if that happens at night, it's very, very difficult, right? But the hail right now, I think it's the biggest part of what's going on right now, because the official forecast mentions hail of 2 to 4 inches or larger. That's about 5 centimeters, and 4 inches is about 10 centimeters. So that's really big, right? And that hail usually forms inside extremely powerful storm updrafts. So the storm lifts water droplets high into the freezing part of the atmosphere, and the droplets then up there, they freeze, they fall, they get lifted again, they collect another layer of ice, and the repeat of this process is happening until the hailstone becomes too heavy for the storm to hold up. And when that happens, it comes falling down. And when such giant hailstone falls from a supercell, it can hit the ground at highway speeds. That's also, it hits you at very high speeds. That's why we have this footage of the shattered windshields, punched roofs, damaged sidings, and destroys cars, right? It's not just dramatic footage, it shows the true power inside of these storms. So never try to stay outside and film the hail when the stones are getting large. Please do not do that. If hail can crack a windshield, I want to make that clear, it can seriously injure a person. So now, while the tornado and hail threat is happening across the southern and central US, another threat is happening with heavy rain. So the Weather Prediction Center has a slight risk of excessive rainfall also for the ArkLaTex region into parts of the deep south. So that means the storms may repeatedly move over the same area, what meteorologists call training. That sounds mean. So think of train cars passing over the same track. Again, one storm moves through, then another follows the same path, then another. So if you're experiencing one, it's not over yet. And suddenly, one after the other, a place that could handle maybe one thunderstorm is now dealing with several rounds of excessive rain. So the official discussion right now says that rainfall rates could exceed 2 inches per hour in the most intense storm. That's more than 50 millimeters of rain in 1 hour. That's what's causing the dangerous flash flooding. So, and even in areas that have been dry, that kind of rain can overwhelm roads, low water crossings, drainage systems, creeks, and small streams. So the flood threat is also not separate from the severe storm threat. So it's connected to it. And the same storm that drops the giant hail and the damaging winds can also dump huge amounts of rain in a short period of time. And then there's the other side of that weather system, the cold side. So while the southern plains and the lower Mississippi Valley deal with severe thunderstorms, parts of the West and the Rockies are dealing with spring snow and winter weather advisories. So this is the clash of seasons, as we can call it. Humid Gulf air is surging north, and cold air still strong enough in the mountains to produce snow. So that contrast is what is part of what powers these systems. So warm air ahead of the system, cold air behind it, humid air on the other, strong winds above, and at the surface, fronts and boundaries become the trigger points. This is why you can have tornado warnings in one region, giant hail in another, flood watches farther east, snow in the mountains, and fire weather in the dry plains, all connected to the broad storm pattern. And so there is the fire weather side of this. On the dry side of the system, we're dealing with gusty winds and low humidity, and that can create elevated to critical fire conditions, especially across parts of the southern high plains. So while one side of the boundary is dealing with flooding, rain, and severe storms, the other side can be dry, windy, and fire prone. I know, guys, it's crazy, but that's what it is. That's the part that many people miss, that this is all connected. This is not just bad weather. This is a massive atmospheric collision. So most Gulf air is feeding these storms. The cold air is diving south A dry line and frontal boundaries are helping the storms ignite. Strong upper level winds are allowing storms to organize in that way. And so that's why the result of all of that is this national scale weather event with many different dangers. So the situation is serious, yes, but not every location is under the same threat level, and not every person that is lost is necessarily from a tornado.
It was put in here,
So I hope you found this interesting, guys. Let me know if you're in one of the affected regions. Well, us here on the Pacific Northwest, I can say the climate and the weather is just amazing, right? We don't have to deal with any of this ever, basically, if you're on the coast. But we do have the looming monster threat, the Cascadia Fault, subduction zone, earthquakes, and we have local faults underneath Seattle and Vancouver. And if that hits, well, this will be devastating, right? This will be worse than everything together. But as long as this is not happening, the Pacific Northwest, we're blessed here. So everyone, you stay safe. I see you in the next one. Check out what's going on here. Thanks so much.